You are going to lose in trading. You are going to lose because you are human. And being human in the financial markets is a serious problem. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine a man sitting at his trading desk. His screen is open. A trade has just gone against him. His stomach tightens. His palms start to sweat. His mind starts racing. This can't be happening. It will come back. It always comes back. So he holds. He waits. The position moves further against him. Now the fear turns to anger. I am not going to accept this loss. I refuse. So he adds to the losing trade. He doubles down. He's no longer trading. He's fighting. And then it happens. The market breaks completely against him. His account is gone. Not from a single bad trade, from a single bad emotion. I have seen this story hundreds of times. I have lived a version of it myself. And here's what nobody tells you when this happens. It was never about the trade. It was always about the person sitting in the chair. Let me be very direct with you. Most people who come to trading come with the wrong idea. They think trading is about finding the right entry, the perfect indicator, the strategy that wins more than it loses. So they spend years searching. They buy courses, they read books, they watch YouTube videos, and they still lose because they are solving the wrong problem. The real problem is never outside of you. The real problem is inside of you. I have spent a lifetime studying this, not just trading, but the psychology of trading. And what I found is this. The market is not a place where the smartest person wins. The market is a place where the most disciplined person survives. Intelligence means nothing here. Emotional control means everything. Most traders fail because they treat the market like a game of logic. They think if they just analyze better, if they just think harder, they will win. But the market does not reward intelligence. It punishes emotion. And here is the brutal truth. The market is designed not by conspiracy, not by hidden forces, but by its very nature to transfer money from emotional traders to disciplined traders. Every time you overtrade out of boredom, money moves. Every time you hold a losing position out of hope, money moves. Every time you cut a winner too early out of fear, money moves. It always moves in the same direction, away from the emotional trader toward the disciplined trader. So the question is never, which side of that equation do you want to be on? The question is, are you willing to do what it takes to be on the right side? To understand why trading is so hard, you have to understand something about your brain. Your brain was not built for the financial markets. It was built for survival on the African savanna. Millions of years ago, your ancestors lived in a world of real physical danger. When a predator appeared, the brain had to act fast, fight or run. There was no time for calm analysis. There was no time for patience. The fastest, most aggressive response was the one that kept you alive. So the brain evolved to feel fear intensely, to act on aggression immediately, to avoid pain at almost any cost, to want control over uncertain situations. These were survival advantages. In the jungle, they kept you alive. In the markets, they will kill your account. Because in trading, the moment you feel fear, you need to stay still. The moment you feel aggression, you need to do nothing. The moment you need to control the outcome, you have to accept that you cannot. Every instinct your brain carries is working against you. The brain that saved your ancestors from liars is the brain that holds losing trades. The brain that protected them from uncertainty is the brain that cuts winners too early. The brain that made them fight back against threats is the brain that revenge trades. This is not a strategy problem. This is a biology problem. And until you understand this at a deep level, until you feel it in your bones, you will keep repeating the same destructive patterns. Let me walk you through what I call the emotional traps. These are the moments where the primitive brain hijacks the rational mind. And once you see them clearly, you will start to recognize them in yourself. The first trap is the need to be right. This is perhaps the most destructive force in all of trading, the need to be right. Most people who come to trading are intelligent people, smart people. And smart people are used to being right. At school, being right got you good grades. At work, being right got you promotions. So the brain builds an identity around being correct. Being wrong feels like failure. Being wrong feels like shame. And in trading, this is catastrophic. Because losing trades are not failures. Losing trades are part of the process. When a trade goes against me, I do not think, I was wrong. I think, the market moved in a different direction than my probability suggested. That is it. No shame, no identity, no attachment. The moment you make a trade personal, the moment being wrong means something about who you are, you have lost. Not the trade, yourself. The second trap is revenge trading. You have lost 3 trades in a row. Your brain feels violated. It wants its money back. And so you open another trade, not because the setup is right, but because you want revenge against the market. But here's what I want you to understand. The market does not know you exist. The market cannot be beaten through aggression. The market cannot be intimidated. When you revenge trade, you are not fighting the market. You are fighting yourself. And you will always lose that fight. The third trap is overtrading. The markets are quiet, nothing is happening, and your brain starts to feel restless. It needs stimulation. So you start looking for trades that are not there. You lower your standards, you force entries, and you burn through capital chasing the feeling of action. Overtrading is not a trading problem. It is a boredom problem. It is an emotional problem. Real trading is mostly waiting. Real trading is mostly doing nothing. And most people, most human beings, are simply not built for that. There's something else I want to talk to you about. Something most traders carry with them into every trade. The illusion of control. Human beings desperately need to feel in control. When we feel uncertain, when outcomes are unknown, the brain becomes very uncomfortable. So, it reaches for things that feel like control. More analysis, more indicators, more confirmation. And the brain tricks itself. If I just look at this chart long enough, if I just find the right combination of signals, I will be able to predict what happens next. But I want to tell you something very clearly. Nobody knows what happens next. Not me, not the best fund managers in the world, not the most sophisticated algorithms. Nobody knows. The market is inherently uncertain. Every single trade you take is based on probability, not certainty. And this is where most traders make their fatal mistake. They trade to be right, instead of trading probabilities. When I take a trade, I accept completely, before I click the button, that this trade might lose. I do not hope it will win. I do not need it to win. I accept fully that it might not. Because I am not trading this one trade. I am trading the next 100 trades. Over 100 trades, if my edge is real, I will make money. But only if I execute every single trade with the same mechanical discipline. The moment I start skipping trades because I feel uncertain, the moment I start adding to losers because I feel convinced, I have broken the system. I have let the brain interfere. And the brain is not my ally here. The brain is my enemy. I want you to think about a leopard. A leopard lying completely still in the long grass. It does not move. It does not chase the first wildebeest that runs past. It does not make noise. It waits, and it waits, and it waits. And then, when the conditions are exactly right, when the angle is perfect, when the distance is close, when the wind is correct, it moves in one explosive, decisive action. That is what I want from you as a trader. Not aggression, precision. The leopard does not chase. The leopard does not create opportunities. The leopard waits for the opportunity to come to it. Most traders behave like hyenas, running after every movement, making noise, burning energy on trades that were never good enough, and wondering why they cannot catch anything. The best traders I have ever seen, the ones who last, they are ambush predators. They define their setup with absolute clarity. They know exactly what they are looking for. And when the market does not present that setup, they do nothing. Not because they are lazy, because they understand that the market is a game of patience. The edge belongs to the patient, not the active. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, because activity feels like progress. Sitting still feels like failure. But in trading, stillness is often the most powerful action you can take. Let me destroy a myth. Most traders spend their lives searching for what they believe is the holy grail of trading, the perfect entry system, the indicator that never fails, the strategy with 90% accuracy. I spent time looking for it too. And then one day I realized something that changed everything for me. The Holy Grail already exists, but it is not an indicator. It is not a strategy. It is psychology. Specifically, it is the ability to execute a proven edge consistently without allowing emotion to interfere. That is it. That is the whole secret. A simple edge, executed consistently, over and over, with no emotional interference. Most people have more edge than they realize. Their problem is not the strategy. Their problem is that they cannot execute their strategy without emotion destroying their results. They skip trades because they feel afraid. They hold losers because they cannot accept being wrong. They cut winners because they cannot stand watching an open profit move. And at the end of every month, the results don't reflect the strategy. They reflect the psychology. Now I want to talk to you about the 4 fundamental mental shifts that every serious trader must make. These are not tips. These are not techniques. These are complete rewirings of how you relate to the market. The first is curiosity instead of fear. When most traders see a losing trade, they feel fear. Fear of more loss. Fear of being wrong. Fear of what this means. The fear creates paralysis or panic. Neither is helpful. What I want you to develop instead is curiosity. When a trade goes against me, I become curious. What is the market telling me? Where is the energy? What is actually happening here? Curiosity keeps the mind open. Fear closes the mind. A closed mind cannot trade. An open mind can adapt. The moment you can look at a losing trade with genuine curiosity, without fear, you have unlocked something most traders never find. The second is discipline instead of aggression. The brain's response to threat is aggression. When the market takes money from you, the primitive brain feels attacked. It wants to fight back. It wants revenge. It wants to dominate. But aggression in the market is suicide. What you need instead is discipline. Discipline means acting according to your rules, even when every emotion is screaming at you to do something else. Discipline is not exciting. Discipline is not glamorous. Discipline is unglamorous repetition of the same correct action day after day, regardless of how you feel. Most people do not want to hear this, because discipline is hard work with no immediate reward. But here is what discipline gives you: consistency. And consistency compounds, not just financially, psychologically. Every time you act with discipline instead of aggression, you are training your brain. You are weakening the emotional response. You are building a new automatic behavior. And one day, after much training, the disciplined response will become your instinct. The third is neutrality instead of greed. Greed is a very strange thing in trading. Most people think greed means wanting too much money. But in trading, greed often looks like something else. It looks like wanting to be right too much. It looks like wanting certainty too much. It looks like wanting control too much. Greed is about wanting an outcome, any outcome, too badly. And the moment you want an outcome too badly, you start distorting reality to match your desire. You see signals that aren't there. You ignore signals that are. What I have trained myself to feel instead is neutrality. A trade is a trade. It is neither exciting nor terrifying. It is a probability playing out. When I am neutral, I can see the market clearly. I am not projecting my hopes onto the chart. I am reading what is actually there. Neutrality is not coldness. It is clarity. And clarity is the trader's greatest tool. The fourth is patience instead of impulsiveness. The brain craves stimulation. It craves action. It craves the feeling that something is happening. Impulsiveness is the brain's way of satisfying this craving. I need to trade. Something is moving. I need to be in this. But good trades, real trades with edge, do not happen constantly. They happen when conditions align. And conditions only align sometimes. The rest of the time is waiting. The trader who can wait, who can sit at the screen and do absolutely nothing for hours, has a massive advantage over the trader who needs to act. Because the patient trader only takes trades that are genuinely worth taking. And the impulsive trader takes everything and pays for all of it. Patience is not passive. Patience is active preparation. It is the leopard in the long grass, watching, breathing, ready, but not moving until the moment is right. I want to say something now that might shock you. I love losing trades. Not because I enjoy pain, not because I am masochistic, but because losing trades are proof that I am trading correctly. Let me explain. If you are trading with a real edge, if you are doing everything right, you will still lose a percentage of your trades. That is inevitable. A winning system does not mean a system that wins every trade. It means a system that wins more than it loses over many trades. If I stopped taking trades every time I suffered a losing streak, I would destroy my edge. Because the edge only works when you execute it completely. Every trade, without exception. Think about it this way. A casino does not stop running blackjack because a player wins 3 hands in a row. The casino knows the mathematics. Over thousands of hands, the house wins. Always. Not because of any single hand, because of the edge played out consistently. I want you to think of yourself as the casino, not the gambler. The gambler reacts to every hand with emotion. The casino plays the system every time without emotion and trusts the mathematics. When I take a loss, I think, good, the system is working. Losses are part of the system. And I move to the next trade. No dwelling, no shame, no revenge. Just the next trade. This is what I mean when I say the best loser wins. The trader who can lose the best, cleanly, quickly, without emotional damage, is the trader who will survive long enough to collect the edge. The trader who cannot accept losses will fight them, hold them, and eventually be destroyed by them. Losing well is a skill. It may be the most important skill in all of trading. So now you understand the problem. But understanding is not enough, because the brain does not change through understanding alone. The brain changes through repetition, through new experiences that override the old patterns. This is what I call reprogramming, and it requires real work. Let me tell you how I think about it. Every time you hold a losing trade past your stop, you strengthen the old circuit. You feed the emotional brain. You make it more powerful. Every time you cut a loss quickly, exactly at your stop, even when everything inside you screams to hold, you weaken that circuit. You begin building a new one. Over time, the new circuit becomes dominant. But it takes time. It takes repetition. It takes commitment. You will not reprogram your brain in 1 week. You will not do it in 1 month. But if you are consistent, if every single trade you execute the rule becomes automatic. The emotional response weakens. The mechanical response becomes your default. And that is when trading changes. That is when results start to reflect skill, not emotion. I also want to say this. The best traders do not have fewer emotions than other people. They have better relationships with their emotions. They feel the fear and they act correctly anyway. They feel the greed and they stay disciplined anyway. They feel the impatience and they wait anyway. That is not the absence of emotion. That is mastery. That is what I have worked toward my entire trading life. Not to feel nothing, but to act correctly regardless of what I feel. Because the feeling will always be there. The brain will always produce it. Your job is not to eliminate the feeling. Your job is to make sure the feeling never controls the action. I want to leave you with something. Something I want you to carry with you. The market will always be there. Every day it opens. It creates opportunities. It moves. The question is never whether the opportunity exists. The question is always, are you ready to take it correctly? Are you ready to act with discipline when fear is telling you to run? Are you ready to cut the loss quickly when pride is telling you to hold? Are you ready to wait in stillness when boredom is telling you to act? Are you ready to let the winner run when the small voice says, take the profit now? Most people are not ready, not because they're weak, but because nobody told them this is what trading actually requires. They thought it was about charts. It was always about character. I spent many years searching for edges in the market. I found them, but none of them mattered until I fixed the edge that lived inside me. The edge of discipline, the edge of neutrality, the edge of patience, the edge of being able to lose cleanly and completely and come back to the next trade with a completely fresh mind. This is the path. It is not a comfortable path. It is not a glamorous path, but it is the only path. Because the market will never change to accommodate your emotions. You must change to accommodate the market. And when you do, when you finally cross that line, something extraordinary happens. The fear lifts, the urgency disappears, the screen becomes quiet, and you begin to trade not from panic, but from power, not from hope, but from principle, not from desperation, but from discipline. That is what I want for you. That is what this entire journey is about. The best loser wins. Remember that. Not because losing is the goal, but because the trader who can handle loss with grace and discipline is the trader who will be in this game long enough to win. I hope this changes something for you today, not just in how you trade, but in how you think. Because when the thinking changes, everything changes. Good luck, and be disciplined.